People, even Bethany Beach, which is semi-private, are not wearing masks when they walk.
Do you need them outdoor? Like, I don't know. I've been mixed on outdoors, like activity-wise. If we're like riding bikes or going for a walk, we don't wear masks either.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that completely. And I also think that once you're settled, you're fine because you're obviously going to stay 6 feet away from the person settling next to you. And obviously, the beach in itself is pretty secluded. That's fine.
Yeah.
My issue was walking. When you're walking, you should wear your mask because people are walking by you. And there was a path that took us to the beach, and the path is like really small. It's like 3 feet.
Oh, wow. And people weren't wearing masks there?
No, and that was so annoying. And me, I just stopped and went backwards and walked the other way, just so they knew. And they're like, okay.
Oh, my gosh.
It's actually a simple fix, can I say, because there was a path going in and there were 2 paths to go in. All they had to do is say 1 path in, 1 path out. It's such a simple solution.
Make it directional.
Yeah, and so walking and also people walking along the shoreline because we're going in and out of the water, right? So it's like traffic. So people along the shoreline, they're going to be within 6 feet of you. It's hard to avoid that. So my thing is wear it when you're walking along the shoreline. So I was just kind of annoyed. I mean, we got over it. Eventually we settled. We took our masks off once we settled, and then we were very close to the water on purpose so Allie and her friends could run back and forth,
Oh, yeah, that's nice. It's hard. All the adaptations we have to make is definitely hard.
Well, I just feel like people need to use common sense too, right? I mean, to me, that's common sense. I'm using my judgment, right? Like we have enough information to use our judgment. That's just where I stand. Anyway, we should probably do intro.
Well, I think everyone's judgment is different. That's the reason we're having a problem that we have.
Actually, that's true too. I keep forgetting I have like awesome judgment and most people don't. You're right.
I think that's exactly what everyone I talk to says.
That wasn't good judgment.
No judgment on your personal judgment, Lisa. Hello, and welcome to the next episode of It's Your Time to Shine, a podcast about being a mom in a modern world. My name is Juspreet and the queen of great judgment, Lisa Vora, is with me too.
And my judgment says to say, hi, Juspreet, how are you?
I'm, normally I'd be like, hey, I'm great. I have actually been having so much like back pain and stomach cramps and stuff this week. And I don't know, I don't know what's up with it being so bad, but.
And that sucks because doctor, are you going to go?
No, I don't. Well, no, I don't think I need to go to the doctor. It's more like that time of the month type of, why don't I say that? It's premenstrual cramps.
Yeah. Why are you saying that time of the month? You mean your period?
Yes.
The thing that comes once a month between 21 and 35 days for every female. And my last one came 3 weeks later because I'm stressed, but that's a separate topic, period.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm being that person. Yes. It is premenstrual cramps and they were worse than normal. And I was not ready. I was not equipped to address them. But also I think like some women have that cadence of like, they know what to expect. So with this being out of the norm of like how much it hurt, I could not cope. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Like 30 years of having a period. And I'm like totally thrown off by that.
Ladies and gentlemen, she said it.
I said it. I said the P word. I don't know why I hesitated on that. Obviously, I
don't know why people are like that. I mean, I understand. I used to be. And I think over time, you think about it and obviously where we are and we're trying to be more real in society. So that's part of it today. So I'm thinking about it more. But I actually did a piece for work on this subject. Not exactly this subject, but do you know the woman she's the woman who started an organization called I Support the Girls?
Yes. Yes. I remember reading about that.
Yeah. So she started an organization. It's all over the world now. And she raises money and, receives donations to give menstrual hygiene products and bras to underprivileged women. So I had followed her around last year and did like a whole story on her. But part of what she does is she wants to normalize periods. She has 2 sons, and I'm not trying to toot my horn with my piece. We're going to talk about the actual period topic too. But I noticed other pieces didn't focus on that aspect, which says something about our media, right?
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of research before. So ABC, NBC, all the major networks have done a story on her. And they only focus on the bra part. One called it the bra queen, one this. And I was like, no, the story is normalizing periods.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And she loved it. I called her and I told her, and I said, she said, I have 2 sons and I want to make it normal. How old are they? They're 8 and 10 or something like that, close to that age. And I said, yep, we're interviewing them and we're going to talk about periods. And in my piece, that's what I focused on. I focused on normalizing periods. I opened the piece with like all the euphemisms that people use. Let's listen to this that I did for Voice of America.
Yeah, let's do it.
There are so many euphemisms that we put on in society to not have to say the word menstruation. Everything from Shark Week, On the Rag, Crimson Tide, Red Badge of Courage, Moon Time, that time of the month. Menstruation is really just a very normal body life cycle.
Oh man, I love that. That is, and now I feel like such a doofus for like, what did I say, that time of the month before? Like, can we go back and edit that out, please, and make it seem like I was real graceful and just direct?
No, because we're going to keep it real.
Dang it.
But yeah, we need to I love, and then I also have 2 bites of her boys too, if you want to hear that. Let's just play that.
Okay.
Today we were bringing bras and maxi pads to this homeless shelter.
My boys are comfortable seeing and talking about bras and periods.
It's normal for a woman to have a period.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Okay, wait, I have a story related to this because...
Yeah. And this kid is 8 years old. I love it. Anyway, go ahead. Tell me the story.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. And see, that just tells you that it's all about education, right?
Definitely.
That's so
and
awesome.
And parenting.
Yeah. So, okay, well, that's so interesting. I overheard a conversation 2 days ago between my kids where my oldest daughter was talking to my youngest daughter, and they were saying that, so I had also made the comment, right, that my back was really hurting and we were supposed to go somewhere. And I was like, I can't go anywhere. I just want to like lie on the couch or lie in my bed because, and Budum asked me like, why, what's going on? And I was like, my back really hurts. And I think it's the day before cramps is how I described it to him. And so Hargun says, to Pavneet, she was like, oh, remember like what happened with me when it started for me? I had all these questions. So I was like asking you all these questions about it. But she was like, but we had to wait until like Amrik left the room. And I was like, what? Why did you do that? So I like asked her, right? And she was like, well, I don't know. I didn't know like if he knew about it or what. And then Amrik speaks up for himself and he's like, yeah, I'm not good with that stuff. And I was like, no,
oh, wow.
I was washing the dishes at the time, right? And the kids were sitting on the island like in front of me. And I was turned the water off and I was like, nope. I was like, first of all, that's like a societal norm that you're playing into. And I was like, why can't you be good with it? Like you'll get good with it the more you practice it. And then I turned to Hargun and I was like, just so you know, everything that they teach girls about puberty and changes in your body, they just like they taught you about girls and boys, they also teach boys about girls and boys. So he knows as much as you know about it. And then I turned to Amrik and I was like, you have to make it normal because even if it doesn't affect you directly, it affects your sisters, it affects your mom, just like I was just saying that my back really hurt. And I was like, and one day it's going to affect your friends, girlfriend, wife, children. Like you need to, normalize it.
Was he weird or was he listening?
He was totally listening. And he was like, yeah, Pavneet Didi said the same thing, that I need to like normalize it and be like more cool with it.
Oh, that's awesome that she says that. That's so awesome though.
It was really good. And I think I had mentioned previously, like maybe the last podcast, that when I was going to get a pad out of the bathroom cabinet for my daughter, I was like, oh, you need a pad? Let me get it for you. And I said it out loud so that it does become normal. Even with my son. But I realized that that's not enough, just like not skirting around it. There's all these societal norms and like that opening is the perfect example. And me, look at me. I didn't even say I have menstrual cramps, right?
But knowing you have like, obviously there have been influences in your life where you're hesitant to say it. It doesn't affect your parenting. As a matter of fact, it's only making you, that awareness is making you actually call it out for what it is. And that's awesome.
Yeah. But even with me, I realized like, look, I have that hesitation. If you hadn't said that to me, I wouldn't have noticed it. And we do that a lot, right? We have these incidences that happen and we just kind of have this presumption of what's normal. And I don't know if it's a Punjabi thing or an American thing. It's probably a little bit of both.
then you internalize and you don't say anything. You're just quiet about it. And
Exactly.
it just stays within you and you never are, like, it becomes the norm not to be open because you're silenced.
Right.
You've silenced yourself, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like, yeah. And it's like, well, why can't we just talk about it? And why can't I just say that, oh, you have cramps or like you need a heating pad or you need ibuprofen? Like, that's okay. So now I've been paying attention to that the last couple of days. And when I'm like, oh, my stomach really hurts or my back hurts right now, I say like, man, having a period is really hard. My back hurts right now.
Oh my God, I'm straight up with Allie right from the beginning. I am straight up. Like beginning, meaning when she was a baby, she didn't comprehend.
Right.
Now she knows. I'm like, I'm on my period. She's like, okay. And I was like, yeah. And then she knows. She goes, that's when you bleed, right? I was like, yep, I bleed. And
Yeah.
I'm usually moody. Then she's like, you're always moody. I was like, that's true, but I'm more moody. So we have such a funny relationship right now. I won't give her. I'm just side noting this for a second. Just it's funny. I won't I've decided she needs to be healthy. And she goes, it's your fault. And I'm like, you're right. It is my fault. I should have given you some of this stuff earlier, but never too late. And so I told her nothing. She cannot have juice anymore. She cannot have chocolate milk anymore until she eats healthy. So, because Allie has a very perfectionist attitude towards food, it has to be perfect. I was like, as long as it's not disgusting, you're going to eat it. So it's just funny. This morning, she's like, am I getting my chocolate milk? I'm like, nope, not until you finish your fruit. But I will. Nope. Okay. And I was like, okay. Then she's like, I guess I'm not going to drink chocolate milk. So we're having a thing right now.
That's so funny.
Like, who's going to break first?
I like how the quarantine is making you like impart these great life lessons on your kids, other than like schooling them about normalizing of female menstrual cycles. Budum came home with a big box of M&Ms from Costco last Sunday. And as you can tell, I'm very aware of how long we've had it.
Peanut M&Ms? Yes.
Peanut M&Ms, all the colors. And we've had them for 10 days now. I'm counting the days because the first couple of days, I'm like, how long is this supposed to last? Like, it went down real quick. And then I was like, this is embarrassing, guys.
Ours would have been done in one night.
I'm like, everyone, I actually posted on Instagram, like asking for a friend, how long is this supposed to last? One of my friends had the best answer. He was like, it takes as long as it takes. And I was like, okay, thank you.
I'm going to start doing that. When someone says asking for a friend, I'm going to say, thanks for outing me. I'm going to say that now. I'm going to start commenting.
That would be really funny.
So let me tell you where I stand and how I parent when it comes to period, okay?
Okay.
I just look at a moment I felt something that really stayed in my soul, and I don't want my kid to ever feel that. So my personal story is, first of all, I didn't know anything. By the time I got my first period, my mom had kind of glossed over it, like talked to me for maybe 5 minutes about it, and that too like 5 days before my first period. I think she was like, oh man, I better talk to her. And my parents were they didn't allow sex education. I literally had a conversation with my 5th grade friends about how my parents never had sex to have me. So this is where I'm coming from, okay? That's probably why I'm the way I am, because I don't want my kid to be that stupid in 5th grade where she's insisting that her parents never had sex. Because I used to think sex was for bad people. It sucks. Like looking back, like, wow, really? That's how I saw things?
And we have this Punjabi construct of like babies are a gift from God. So it's not outside the realm of prediction that so many South Asian girls would think I just prayed for a baby and then got one.
Yeah. And the thing though now for us is they're not mutually exclusive. Still can be a gift from God after having sex.
Of course. Yeah. I would never imply that they aren't. And,
I know you
whatever
would.
your faith belief is.
No, I wasn't talking about you. The attribute. And you're right about that. That's kind of where they're coming from, our parents.
Right.
So I just remember this instance. So I had gotten my period. Maybe I'd had it at least a year because my sister got it like a year or two after me. And she's a year older. So she was really late, right? I was 12. Mona was 14. And like this commercial came on and I'm sitting with my dad and I knew it was a period commercial. And I remember thinking, oh my God, we got to put this off. Oh my God. And Mona's like, oh. And my dad's just clueless. And I was like starting to talk and I was like, so blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the moment's over. But I always today as an adult look back and I think I had the weight of my period on my shoulder and not my dad. And that's annoying. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you felt uncomfortable and you felt like you needed to do something to distract them.
I was saying it also feels like he was expecting that from me. Like I'm the one who's got to take care of it, not him. Like it's always the woman. It's that same kind of like mindset.
Right.
The same like a woman has their period so she can't go to a Hindu temple. That's a thing too. Right. And they're fighting it in India these days, which is awesome.
They're fighting against that today. Yeah.
So that's how I felt. And I don't ever want Allie to feel that way. And that's where my parenting starts from that moment.
No, I think that's fascinating. And like, I can relate a little bit to that feeling. And I think many of our listeners probably can too, because I never talked about sex or talked about sex education with my parents either. And if we ever watched a movie and there was like a sex scene coming up, we just felt so uncomfortable. I don't know if my dad ever felt uncomfortable. He probably felt, like you're saying, in that patriarchal society, probably didn't feel anything other than, I should fast forward. But for me, I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to go get a drink of water right now, or whatever the feeling was. So I can totally relate, but it is messed up. It's very one-sided, and
it's worse in our culture.
It is. Worse. Yeah. And then like you're saying, as a Hindu, some of the expectations, I don't know if they're religious or if they're societal. So maybe you could say a little bit about that. But I remember you telling me a little bit about how your mom prayed when she was on her cycle when we first met, because that was new for me as a Sikh learning about that. Do you remember telling me about that?
I don't, but if I did, it must be true, because I don't think she prays every day and she's in front of God every day. And obviously she used to get her period, for a few days, and I never saw her not in front of the shrine. So
I think she closed the doors. She had the doors closed when she was on her period.
Yeah, maybe there was something. Yeah, there was something. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I really have bad memory, you know that. But I trust that I said that.
Yeah, so, and maybe it was Mona actually. Maybe it wasn't you, but I remember.
Okay.
I remember asking why, when your mom was praying, why the doors to the shrine were closed one day, and someone had explained to me, it was either you or your sister, that it was because of the menstrual cycle. And I just took it at face value because I don't know that I had all of the critical thinking skills to even ask follow-up question. We were so young.
Yeah, you don't question at that point.
Right. Yeah. And, but it does create that dichotomy, doesn't it? Of like being less than, or like it's a burden somehow.
Yeah, it is. And you're not even worth God when you're on your period. Like you can't be near God. Like what is that?
Yeah. And who the heck made us then,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a bigger problem in India than here, but it's a problem here too. People don't talk about it. For me personally, I just want people to know I'm on my period because one, I'm moody, and two, I'm like 2 inches bigger, and I want people to understand the attribute. It's the attribution. It's a very superficial reason.
Oh my gosh. One of the things that's bothered me is access to hygienic products, like in school or in the workplace. And I know that's been discussed a lot, like under the topic of like whether period and tampon products should be taxed. Like there a lot of people have said that they should not be taxed because it's not a choice, right, to use them.
That's something that girl Dana's also working on, changing legislation for that.
Yes, absolutely. And like a personal thing for me is that during Hurricane Harvey, which hit Texas, Houston specifically, but hit all of Texas, like really devastatingly in 2018, one of our Sikh Gurdwara was the first truck to go into Houston with supplies. And we were doing like necessities distribution. Awesome. So we had gathered all kinds of things from like bottled water because the water sources had been contaminated there from the hurricane, but then also like clothes and diapers and formula and all kinds of toiletries as well, because people lost their entire houses, entire apartment buildings were flooded. And a week after that first truck went in, we were preparing to send our second truck. And there is a small town called Rockport on the coast of Texas. They were really badly hit by the storm. And one of the volunteer coordinators there said, everyone is bringing diapers, everyone's bringing formula. The thing that we really need is feminine products and underwear, because people are in these makeshift shelters, and you can't even call them homeless shelters. It's like so many people were affected by it that homeless shelters are the wrong imagery, right? It's like these are kids who are out of their house, for the first time ever getting their period, or women who couldn't take anything. They had to be rescued by boat. And so their period started, they're in the clothes they're wearing. They can't change their underwear. They're trying to use paper towels. And so we did a big drive in San Antonio and we started talking about it. And let me tell you what the hardest part for me was. And I know you're going to say, oh, the irony behind it, trying to fundraise in our community that is both obviously English speaking, but primarily Punjabi speaking as well within the Gurdwara community. I didn't have a way of saying sanitary pads in Punjabi. How messed up is that?
Oh, wow. That's so interesting.
Like,
wow.
To say the medical words for period and the medical word for tampon, sanitary pad, female needs. It's so hard.
There's not one in Hindi either. I don't know it. Yeah.
It's so uncommon that there, even if there is like a dictionary definition for it, which I wasn't able to find, but even if there was one, no one knew what it was and no one would.
They probably just say things like kuch pen lo or something.
Or they just, like all or you just use the word like maxi pad in English in your Punjabi sentence, right? And
maxi pad pen lo. Yeah.
Raising awareness of it, and I chose to like really break it down and say like, imagine the situation they're in. That this happens to them all of a sudden and they don't, and they might be embarrassed to go ask for more because maybe someone's flow is heavy and someone gave you 10 and you're like, I blew through those and I need another, 10. And so that conversation, it really opened my eyes to how our community is so compassionate and so generous, but fails to have the language to include this type of need.
Yeah. And that's cultural,
Very much so.
It's the cultural influence.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Wow, that's eye-opening. I didn't even think about it. There's not a word. Or if there is, I don't know it. But it's obviously not a common word. That's why I don't know it,
Right. We'll hopefully get our listeners telling us like what words they use or how they explain it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll also, what we'll do for our listeners? If they want to donate, I also know the girl who's doing it, she's always asking for donations. So
yes.
We'll give that information.
The name of her organization again?
I Support the Girls.
Okay, yeah, we can put it into the show notes for sure. So in that frame of reference and being able to like have the conversation so we can talk about it, the more we talk about it, the better our chances of making it mainstream and addressing it and even brainstorming ideas like that. Because the people who are doing like catastrophic disaster response, some of them are going to be men or women that forget about periods.
Yeah, yeah.
They forget about that scenario like, hey, let's have a bunch of brand new clean underwear ready to go in this case. And the other side of it is how the treatment of women who are on their periods, how do we account for it as a society, like in school, at work? There's been some discussion about like prison lately and if women should have access to a certain number of sanitary supplies, if it should be unlimited. Obviously, it's a very personal thing, right? How much someone needs, how long their period lasts.
Yeah, of course it should be unlimited. Yeah. Geez, I mean, I don't care what you're in prison for. You shouldn't be stripped of that right.
Exactly. And then if you need more than the allotted supply, do you have to pay for them yourself?
Oh my God, I'm getting mad. I didn't even, yeah. To even think this is a thing,
To the fact that we even have to like address that, I think is a total issue. And
you're in jail for whatever your crime is. Who even knows if that's right or wrong? I mean, that's a whole different topic. But whatever the punishment is jail, not other aspects.
Exactly. Yeah. And even like the type of underwear that you have and if it's suitable for a pad. I mean, the layers and layers that you get into once you are willing to start talking about it shows how immature we are in our design of the solution.
No, we are. And that's why it starts from the ground up, I mean, it starts from what you just said. Let's talk, but also like let's normalize the conversation with our children.
Yeah, totally agree.
So that it's so normal for them, they don't think twice. Like the goal is don't think twice. So by the time they're like in their 50s and 60s, no one's thinking twice,
Yeah, absolutely. So when I talked to Amrik about it later, so I had that conversation that I shared with you with the girls there and I was washing the dishes. And then afterwards, I was telling him, I said, there's some things that I'm telling you not just because it's important for our family, but also because it's important for you to know for life later. And I told him this story that I had heard via Facebook. So, I always want to put that out there. I don't really know the people that this happened to, but
Right.
I could relate to it, and it was a nice anecdote. So this is the way the story goes. It was written on Facebook. This girl comes home and tells her mom that she got her period for the first time and she had a stain on her pants. And she had a sweatshirt tied around her waist when she came home from the bus stop.
Mm-hmm.
And the mom's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that happened. And whose sweatshirt is that? And she said, well, I didn't even know that it happened. I was on the bus and this older boy said, hey, take my sweatshirt, tie it around your waist. You have a spot on your back. I think your period started. And the girl got really nervous and had tears in her eyes. And then she was like, okay, thank you. And he goes, just give it back to me tomorrow or another day. And he was like, it's cool. I have sisters, so I know what's up.
Oh, so
and
they made
yeah, so amazing, right?
Yeah, I mean, this boy's obviously being taught right,
Yes. And he didn't make a big deal out of it. And he didn't go the route of making fun of the girl, which I know so many people would do. I remember in my own experience when someone had a spotting experience like that in 5th grade and everyone kind of making the person feel embarrassed just because they didn't know.
And those moments stay with you. Those moments, the whole psychological aspects of that moment for that girl, it stays with that child.
It does.
With that person, with that kid.
It stays with you forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows what decisions to make later, what insecurities it brings out, like so many things, layers of stuff.
100%.
In that aspect too, the psychology of these girls.
Yes, totally. And so I used that example with Marika. I was like, listen, look at how all he did was let somebody borrow his sweatshirt, and look at what a big impression it made in her life. And one day you're going to have the opportunity to help someone. I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I want you to have the confidence to do the right thing. And he was like,
that's awesome.
Okay, mama. He was like, okay. It clicked for him with that. And it was so great.
That's awesome.
For all of the women out there who might be able to relate, being more vocal, I think it's really important. Something we can share with our kids to make it more normalized and definitely make that impact. I've met so many people over the years who are like, oh, I never wear white pants unless I've just finished my period. So I'm like 100% sure that I won't have an accident. That's coming from that deep-seated fear, right? That something could happen.
Yeah.
And I'll have that embarrassing moment.
I don't wear white pants only because they don't fit me during my period, but yes. But that's separate.
That's a natural self-check. Okay.
I know you have to go get Allie from camp, so we're running out of time, but I want to keep talking about this. I really want to talk about the talk and what happens before and after the talk, how you get ready for it, and what happens when your child has questions that you can't answer. And before we close out, a quick reminder, as children are starting to go back to school, whether it's in person, virtual, or maybe you opted to homeschool, whatever's happening, it's brand new for our kids, it's brand new for us, and it's brand new for the teachers as well. So be kind to them, be kind to your children, and be kind to yourselves. And as always, thanks for listening.